Good evening. I now call to order the regular town board meeting for the town of Arundecoit, June 15th, 2021. Visitors are invited to join board members to rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Councilwoman Freeman?
Here.
Councilman Perticone?
Here.
Councilwoman Romeo?
Here.
Councilman Weiner? Supervisor Seeley?
Here.
And attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and good evening, everyone. Just a little bit of housekeeping. We do have 3 public hearings scheduled for tonight, as well as one that was held open. The sign-in sheets for the 3 new public hearings, one of which is a matter authorizing speed reduction on Allwood Drive, one regarding a granting of a special use permit, the other regarding an amendment to Town Code Chapter 164. If you wish to address the board, it's starting at 7:35 at any of those public hearings. You can sign up over there. If you forget to sign up, you still will have the opportunity to address the board. We do have a public hearing held open from last month regarding a proposed rezoning of down in the Somerville area. We will open that public hearing again and most likely close it tonight after the 3 public hearings. We also, obviously, every month have public input. If you're here to address the board on any particular matter, you can sign up for public input at the right up the sign-in sheet, and we will allow you and afford you time to address the board. With that, we can actually now move on to public input. As of about 3 minutes ago, there was no one signed up for public input. However, if anyone wishes to address the board at this point in time, they're welcome to come forward. Going once, going twice. Okay, very good. With that, we can move on to the financial report. Madam Comptroller.
Thank you. The 2021 financial results for the town as of May 31st, 2021. Total expenses, actual as well as encumbered, are $15,294,000, or 40.4% of budget, which is slightly below the 41.7% of the year that has elapsed. The breakdown is actual expenses, $12,787,000, and encumbered expenses, $2,506,000. Encumbrances are established for commodities, services, and supplies that will be needed during the year. The general fund expenses of $9,300,000 represent 40.2% of budget. The breakdown is actual expenditures, $8,091,000, or 34.9%, and encumbrances, $1,209,000, or 5.2%. In aggregate, the expenses in the highway funds are $2,264,000, or 40% of budget. Expenses within the highway funds include fuel, salt, equipment parts, and paving materials. Actual expenditures are 27.1%, or $1,535,000 of budget, while encumbrances account for the remaining 12.9%. Expenditures in the library fund are $1,124,000, or 42.5% of budget, slightly above the 41.7% of the year elapsed. Sewer fund expenses are 42.9% of budget, equating to $1,784,000, of which $1,417,000 represents actual expenses and $367,000 is encumbered. The expenses in the stormwater drainage total $308,000, or 33% of budget. Actual expenses are $219,000, while encumbrances account for the remaining 9.5%. General fund revenue received is $14,434,000, or 64.3% of budget. At the end of May, the town had received $11,799,000 of real estate tax, 100% of budget. 75.4%, or $201,000 of payment in lieu of tax revenue has been received. Sales tax receipts of $896,000, or 18.8% of budget, have been received. Sales tax revenue has increased by 7.5% over last year for this time period. Regarding the entire town, $26,864,000, or 72.7% of revenue and appropriated fund balance has been received to date. Approximately $18,135,000 of the amount received is real estate tax. At month end, the library has received $2,568,000, or 97.1% of its budgeted revenue. Consolidated highway receipts of $4,458,000, or 80%, have been recorded. Sewer fund has received revenue of $4,064,000, or 99.6% of budget. 97.4% of stormwater drainage receipts have been received, totaling $868,000. In addition to the operating revenue discussed above, American Rescue Funds of $11,227,000 have been received. The use of this funding is restricted for the response to and the relief of COVID-19, and the town can use this money for costs incurred through December 31st, 2024. This concludes the financial report for May of 2021.
Thank you, Madam Comptroller. Any questions for Diana? And board members, we will be scheduling in the next few days a workshop meeting on July 6th to discuss, among other things, the federal money. And Diana has been working very hard to determine and using some of the calculations promulgated by the Department of Treasury. And she's been diligently working with our firm at Bonadillo, and I think she's happy to report some news at that point. But hearing no further questions, I'll take a motion to accept the financial report.
Move.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The report is accepted. Approval of minutes, please.
May 11th, 2021, the workshop meeting.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, revisions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
May 18, 2021, the regular town board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or revisions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
June 1st, 2021, a special town board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Questions, comments, revisions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved. We can now move on to items for board action. Madam Clerk, please call up item for board action number 4 under appointments.
Authorizing the appointment of a part-time light laborer in the building maintenance department.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Kiley, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. It's my pleasure to put forth the name of Jason Cox to the town board this evening for appointment to the part-time position at the Arundecoit Public Library. Jason has been working for us for a little over 6 weeks through a work program with ABVI. He has been a fantastic addition to our staff at the library and has been doing an exemplary job. Look forward to working with him on a more permanent basis in his part-time capacity in the library.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kiley. Any questions or comments on the proposed resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 5, authorizing the provisional appointment of a management assistant.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Ms. Hall, an explanation, please.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'm bringing forward the name Megan Hoffman for your consideration tonight for our management assistant. Megan has been with our department for close to, if not more than 20 years. She started out as a summer camp counselor and has dedicated her professional life to serving Arundecoit, and right now she is a huge asset to our administrative team, running our registration software, managing our office staff, and as we grow at the new community center, we would like Megan to be our management assistant, overall overseeing our office.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Any questions for the director? I'll just say, Megan's been here as long as I've been with the town, and I joke about this, but her end of the year summer camp reports are the gold standard for reporting and accountability and transparency. She leaves basically nothing that she doesn't reference, but it's very good because it helps provide a very good picture about the efficacy of the programs and us, how it's been able to grow every year. So certainly that speaks to Megan's organizational skills. But this is a new position, one that's very important as our department is growing with the new community centers. So I'm happy to recommend Megan for this. I think she'll continue that those leadership skills she's exemplified and personified in her previous roles with the Recreation Department, and will do a very nice job. So congratulations, Megan. I encourage a yes vote. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Megan, you now have to stand up and wave to your adoring audience. Congratulations, Megan.
Item number 6, authorizing the provisional appointment of a fitness coordinator.
Motion to adopt,
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Perticone. Ms. Hall, an explanation, please?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We interviewed quite a number of candidates for this position, and we have chosen to bring forward the name Ryan McLean for the newly created fitness coordinator position at the new community center, overseeing our fitness room and our group exercise program. Ryan comes to us from the YMCA with a very extensive background in fitness coordination, not just at the YMCA, but in his other professional careers prior, and we feel that Arundecoit will greatly benefit from his knowledge and skills that he will bring to the department.
Thank you. As Ms. Hall did reference, we received a lot of interest in this position and had a number of very quality candidates to choose from. And I know Katrina and her staff really took a good look at this. So Ryan's qualifications really are impressive. A lot of the things we're looking to do at the community center he's already done at the Y, so it's very encouraging. So very excited to bring you forward. You come aboard at a dynamic time, so we're really looking for people to grab the bulls by the horn and run with it. So I don't want to say the world is your oyster, because it's not, to make it clear, but I think there's limitless possibilities at the community center. So congratulations on your appointment. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Ryan, would you like to stand up? Congratulations. I'm just going to point out, you guys, we used to do all the appointments either under Human Resources or the department that they're housed in. So often they would come after a public hearing at like 8:30. So in the past, you would have had to wait till like 8:30. So then I figured, well, because we do it in alphabetical order, A for appointments. We can get the appointments out of the way. So you're welcome. But anyway, thank you for being here, and congratulations. Madam Clerk, we can move on to item for board action number 7.
Authorizing the appointment of a deputy court clerk.
Motion to adopt,
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thanks. Due to a resignation, there was a position open for deputy court clerk. It's an exempt position, no civil service test required. Dave Marion, our court administrator, did interview a number of qualified candidates. And the resolution before the board members would appoint a qualified candidate to that position, and someone that Mr. Marion has expressed great confidence in, and is confident that will continue to administer the role as necessary in the department. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 8, authorizing the appointment of a seasonal light laborer.
Motion to adopt,
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Commissioner Kylie, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. If possible, I'll talk to this resolution and the subsequent
that, please.
resolution. Thank you, sir. These resolutions would appoint the seasonal appointment to the position of light laborer, Ms. Ryan Campbell and Mr. Myron Moses to the position of light laborer down at the Arundecoit Bay State Marine Park. Both of these young people are very enthusiastic, and we look forward to working with them. Primary duties will be for really litter and any debris that we are having down at the boat launch. And ultimately, we look forward to working with them this summer and future summers to come.
Bob, in general, are we still looking for seasonal laborers, or is this?
We are. If there are opportunities, or if there are, if there are persons interested, we still have opportunities here within the Department of Public Works, both for our seasonal road crews to seasonal park staff. We have several positions still available.
I'm sure there's hundreds of college kids returning from home who are watching this meeting, so if you're watching, I don't know why you wouldn't be watching, but please contact Commissioner Kiley if you're interested in some summer work with the town of Arundecoit. The resolution before the board that we're considering right now would appoint Myron Moses for the appointment of a summer program seasonal light laborer. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 9, authorizing the appointment of a second seasonal light laborer.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
This would approve the appointment of Nyrian Campbell as a seasonal light laborer in the Department of Public Works for a summer program. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted. I don't believe either candidate is here, but congratulations and thank you for joining our team at Town Hall. Madam Clerk.
Item number 10, calling for a public hearing on the matter of granting a special use permit for 2590 Culver Road in a C business district.
Motion to adopt
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Kiley, explanation, Miss Carrie Ivers, explanation, please. You know, it's Kivers, Kylie, I get it.
Thank you. This is a resolution that would set the public hearing date and refer the application for a special use permit for the Quicklies gas station. This does require a special use permit. The project's already received the site plan approval required through the planning board, and prior to that, received the rezone through this board. And so now this is just the final step needed to allow the project to move forward toward construction.
What conditions pursuant to the code are we considering for special
So
use?
the special use is required for both the gas station itself, a service station, and also the car wash functionality on the site. So for those two are the reason they're before this board.
Thank you. And just to be clear, it's a permitted use under the zoning?
It is a permitted use, it just requires a special permit through the town board.
Thank you for the clarification. Any questions for Ms. Ivers? This would schedule a public hearing, which would take place, I believe, at 7:36 p.m., July 20th, 2021, here in the Broderick Meeting Room at Town Hall, for to consider the special use permit. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, we can table item for board action 11 and move on to item for board action 12 under Comptroller, please.
Okay, authorizing appropriation of Community Development Block Grant Program CARES Act funds.
Motion to adopt and a second.
Second.
Thank you. Comptroller Marsh, an explanation, please.
Thank you. This resolution would appropriate funding to the Housing Council and also to the senior mailing program. This is funding that the town was awarded last year through the CARES Act, and we did amend the 2019-2020 Community Development Block Grant to allocate $200,000 to a COVID-19 Community Action Fund. So this funding would come from the Community Action Fund.
Thank you. For a little bit of context, we still have a sizable amount of money received last year from the Federal CARES Act. That was for more specific community development block grant purposes. We've used a lot of that money for our RISE business program, but still have some reserves. When we looked at our current CDBG year for 21-22, two existing programs we wanted to enhance, one of which is funding for the Housing Council that provides some preliminary foreclosure preventative services interventions. We're still we're keeping our fingers crossed, but still bracing perhaps for another hit to the housing market when forbearances start to occur again or wear off, and we're hoping for the best, but bracing that we might see some foreclosures or pre-foreclosures, notice of pendencies rise. So our program with the Housing Council looks to provide some earlier intervention and some services to people in that early foreclosure. So we're going to provide some additional funding to the Housing Council. In addition, we, throughout COVID, have really embraced the use of our senior mailing program to stay in touch with our residents about things happening with the town. So this would enhance that program as well to ensure that we are able to communicate with our residents. And as said, this was contemplated and approved essentially through our CDBG process. This is just allocating the federal money reserved from last year. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 13, authorizing the purchase of computers and displays and transfer of funds.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Perricone and Ms. Freeman. Mr. LeBar, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution is in regards to replacing all the end-of-life Windows 7 computers with new computers based on modern operating systems to just finally decommission them.
Thank you. And it would, it's a sizable appropriation. I think it's 32 laptops. We're making a switch to more of to laptops, correct?
Yes. we're making
And
a switch to-
17 desktop computers, 70 monitors. This money was, we're using fund balance, but it really was funds that was received through CARES Act reimbursement last year received from the county. So this is not new spending contemplated. When we received that money, we allocated a portion of it to IT informally, and this just implements the expenditure of those funds. Any questions or comments?
I just want to thank Kevin LeBar for his hard work of going through and seeing what computers need to be changed. It's about time for us to make sure that our employees have the tools that they need. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 14, authorizing the purchase of servers and storage and transfer of funds.
Motion to adopt?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. LeBar, explanation, please.
This is to replace current end-of-life servers and storage with basically the mission-critical components of the network at the town have reached end of life, and we're looking to replace and upgrade.
Thank you. And again, this is similar to the previous resolution, uses fund balance, but money that was received from the CARES Act last year. So this was value-added money surplus that we're appropriating towards our IT. And you will be hearing more from Mr. LeBar in the future about IT investments, particularly in the realm of making sure we are not immune, but better protected from potential cybersecurity threats. But we're talking servers right now, so I will ask for all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 15, accepting donations from Home Depot.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
And a second.
Second.
Chief, tell us the good news.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution before the town board is a result of the Community Impact Grant, which is provided by the Home Depot stores, where they have offered up about $1,000 for us to purchase some new equipment for the technicians unit. That equipment includes a 660-foot laser distance measure, so we can get away from the old tape measures, as well as a 20-volt DeWalt tripod light to help us with our nighttime scenes.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you to Home Depot for their donation. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 16, approving attendance to the 33rd Annual Colonel Henry F. Williams Homicide Seminar.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Chief, explanation, please.
Yes, thank you. This resolution would allow investigator Christopher Soprano to attend the above-mentioned seminar. This is an exceptional opportunity for our investigators. It's a world-renowned seminar put on by the New York State Police to discuss different investigative techniques for solving homicides, and he's the only investigator that we currently have that has not attended.
Very good. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 17, regarding storm sewer easement agreement on Rock Beach Road.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Kiley, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution would formally accept the easement with regard to a storm sewer that was recently discovered on Rock Beach Road. This storm sewer drains surface runoff from the roadway to Lake Ontario, and as such, it's in the town's best interest to take permanent easement over it. We recently filmed the storm sewer and have found it to be in good repair, even though it has been there for many years. As such, meets and bounds for this permanent easement are attached to the resolution, and we would take that permanent easement for its long-term maintenance and operation.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 18, authorizing renewal of lease of a mail machine to be used by the Department of Public Works.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kylie. Explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution would authorize the continuation of an existing contract for a mail machine, to lease the mail machine for the Department of Public Works at a monthly fee of $80.90 for the next 51 months.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 19, authorizing dedication of sewer pump station by I-Square LLC to the town of Arundecoit and authorizing corresponding sanitary sewer easement agreement.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner McGee. Please, an explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution would authorize the town into taking dedication and permanent easement over a pump station constructed on Lorraine Drive. This pump station was built to spec with town standards and construction was witnessed throughout critical stages throughout the phase, and as such, we look to take dedication, and the meets and bounds of the easement are attached to the resolution.
Thank you. Any questions on the resolution?
Just one, is this pump station ready to go?
Yes,
It's all ready?
yes,
Okay, so it's complete, project's done?
Yes.
So it's ready to go?
yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 20, authorizing lease of fitness equipment for use in the Arundecoit Community Center.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Perricone. Ms. Hall, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. A few months back, we brought forward to the town board asking for the ability to lease the fitness equipment. That was approved, so now we're bringing forward the actual lease. We went out and got our 3 quotes as we are required, and NCL Government Capital came back with the lowest and most responsible quote, and that is $52,217.47 over 4 years for the fitness equipment. The town will not own it at the end. We picked these years based on the life cycle of the cardio equipment. We felt it was most responsible. And the first payment is not due until February 2022, so we do not need any current budgeted funds. This will be budgeted for next year.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. And how many years is the lease, just for the record?
The lease is 4 years.
4 years, thank
Yep.
you. Okay. And of course, this was an alternative we had. It was the most prudent to lease versus purchase, obviously, and gives us a lot of flexibility. And Katrina and her team have done a pretty exhaustive effort to identify what our needs are, and went out and procured that. And this lease is the final step in that process. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 21, authorizing the supervisor to enter and amend various contracts with vendors for youth, family, and senior recreational programming for summer 2021.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Hall, explanation, please.
Thank you. Yes, this is to add some additional instructors for our summer programs with our adult services as well as our youth services. Last month, we brought forward all of our summer contracts, and these are just some additional contracts that were available for the board to review.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments from the board? These were available at workshop for review using a magnifying glass, and I'm sure John read every item. Sorry, Katrina. I'm just getting old here. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 22, authorizing the supervisor to enter into new contract with vendor for the town's 2021 Farmers Market and Gazebo Concert Series.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thanks. This would just amend the Farmers Market and Concert Gazebo Series with some new vendors and performers. The contracts are fixed via addenda, or the contract amounts are fixed via addendum A and addendum B. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 23, authorizing entering into a contract with the new Arundequoit Community Center.
Motion to adopt,
Move.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Hall, an explanation, please?
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Supervisor. So this is the first of a few insurance contracts we'd like to enter into in order to offer insurance reimbursement at the new community center. This one in particular was with Optimum Fitness, and it is a Silver Sneakers fitness program. And in order to offer this benefit to the community, we would enter into this contract, and then there would be no fee for the seniors that qualify for this program.
Thanks, Katrina. And this is the first of likely a handful of these resolutions we'll be taking for each insurance carrier, correct?
Correct. Yep, at least 3 or 4.
Yeah, and as we've been trying to talk about public information, one of the things we're going to try and continue to broadcast to the general public about the new community center is it will be on par with what people might expect with other fitness centers, in the sense that insurance reimbursement will be a possibility for, especially for our older residents. So that's a perk and an asset that we're looking to utilize and capitalize to ensure that people can participate and join and visit and get some help from their insurance company in doing so. And we will do our best to inform residents about those opportunities. Any questions or comments?
I just want to thank Director Hall on this initiative to go out and get the information seeking, and then to make sure that our residents know, so they can not only just stay healthy, but know that they have access to these programs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 24, authorizing the supervisor to enter into various contracts with vendors for the town's 2021 July 4th celebration.
Motion to adopt,
Move.
and a second.
Second.
That was a very exciting
Yes.
motion to adopt, and that's a very vociferous second from Mr. Perticone. Ms. Hall, an explanation, please.
Sure, yes. Well, while our July 4th celebration will be modified this year, we are bringing forward a few different contracts. Some are the marching band contracts or the entertainment contracts for the parade. In addition, there is our fireworks contract and our West Lawn entertainment contract for some music at the end of the night.
Thanks, Ms. Hall. We announced last week we're having just a one-day festival this year, but it will include most of your traditional July 4th events, being the race, the parade, and the reading of the Declaration of Independence, some entertainment on our West Lawn, but most importantly, our annual fireworks above Town Hall. And we are encouraging people to come, and I think it will be a wonderful time, and there's no way in hell it's going to rain, so please come. We're setting them off even if it is raining, just so you know. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 25, accepting the renewal for inclusive recreation services.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second. Thank you. Ms. Hall, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution brings forward a renewal with Rochester Accessible Adventures at a rate of $6,750 for the year. We would like to continue our relationship with Rochester Accessible Adventures, especially looking towards the new community center and the services that we will be able to provide to all members of the community. This is a budgeted expense, and this contract would bring us through June of 2022 with Rochester Accessible Adventures.
Thank you. Any further questions from the board? We've been very pleased with this initiative. It's helped us really, and continue. It's a continuing arc of learning and making it more accessible, but having this continual asset to help inform those decisions is beneficial. So we appreciate the program, and I'm glad that we're renewing it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted. We have a few minutes before the start of our public hearings. Just a little housekeeping. We have 4 public hearings tonight, 3 new ones. And then after the 3 new ones, we'll have one of which was held open from last month regarding a proposed rezoning down in near the waterfront up in Somerville. We did not have anyone sign up for the first 3 public hearings. There was no sign-in. We generally don't have a sign-in sheet for hearings that we keep open. So when we get to the 4th public hearing, I assume there are some people who would want to testify. We'll just do it. You'll be permitted to come up and identify yourself for the record. With that, we can It's 7:34. Madam Attorney, are we allowed to start early? Okay, we're going to make an exception. It's written into our town code, we have to start these things at 7:35, so we're going to notwithstand that a little bit. Madam Clerk, you may call up the first public hearing.
Public hearing number 1 on the matter of authorizing speed reduction on Allwood Drive from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour.
Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Move.
In a second,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This public hearing is now open. I'm going to ask Chief, is this housed under you or is this Bob?
I believe it's under Commissioner Kiley.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. My apologies there.
okay.
The public hearing being called this evening is to solicit any information or any input from the general public with regard to the lowering of the speed limit on Allwood Drive, which is a roadway posted for 30 miles an hour, as all town streets are, to a lineal speed limit of 25 miles an hour. Again, the town speed limit is 30 miles an hour. That is the lowest that the town is allowed to put and assess speeds at. We are unable to put a 25 mile an hour speed limit for the entirety of the town due to state restrictions. As such, we seek to move Allwood Drive from 30 miles an hour to a 25 mile an hour lineal speed limit.
Thanks, Bob. And was this the result of requests from the residents on the road?
That is correct, sir. That is the primary input that we receive, and when we receive them, we move and act on them.
And Allwood generally, I think I've done it before, used as a pass-through from Titus perhaps to Coronado or Briarwood.
As you go south, yes, or from the south to Titus, yes.
Any questions for the commissioner before we ask? Okay, nobody signed up to testify at this public hearing regarding the proposed speed reduction. If any member of the public or in attendance wishes to address the board on this matter, they're welcome to do so. Going once, going twice. Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to close public hearing.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The public hearing is now closed. Madam Clerk, item for board action number 1A, please.
Adopting a local law to amend Section 222-52 of the Code of the Town of Arundecoit relating to the reduction of speed limit from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour on Allwood Drive.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. A public hearing was held about 30 seconds ago regarding the proposed amendment to town code pertaining to include Allwood Drive as a street with a reduced speed limit of from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour. No residents came forth to speak for or against the proposed amendment to code. As such, this resolution would recommend the appropriate accommodating amendment made to our town code. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Public hearing number 2 on the matter of granting a special use permit for 1969 East Ridge Road in a C business district.
Motion to open public hearing.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is now open. Before, I think if the applicants are here, we'll ask Ms. Ivers for an explanation, and then we'll ask the applicants to come up, if they are in attendance, to talk about the proposed special use permit. Ms. Ivers, an explanation, please.
Thank you. This is a proposed use of an existing, currently vacant plaza space. It's located on the south side of 1969 East Ridge Road. It's proposed to be an assembly space, and in this zoning district, which is C business, that is a special use permit. The application, the board's reviewed the application. It was referred to the planning board at last month's meeting. They did provide a negative referral, and they did cite the reasons or the rationale for that referral decision. You all would have received that with that memo. Additionally, the application is currently under review by Monroe County. The planning and review, under plan review for Monroe County, and we have not yet received their response. So we're just waiting on that.
Thank you. So just so it's clear, we will not make any decision tonight, but hear testimony on the proposed the matter before the public hearing. Any questions for Ms. Ivers from the board? Okay, are the applicants here? Would you like to come up? You can come up to the podium if you want. And if you could, just identify yourself, name, and affiliation with the project. Thank you.
Angel Anderson, the owner.
Sakeem Anderson, co-owner.
Good evening. So why don't you just explain the proposed use of the space and what type of business you're looking to operate?
I am trying to use this space for people to be able to rent for events, baby showers, meetings, special occasions.
Okay. And just so we're clear, it's a small strip mall. Would you be using the space in the rear of that proposed
Yes.
site? Okay. I know one of the issues before the planning board was with regards to parking. Have you presented a plan just to, because one thing we are concerned about is spillover parking always and making sure the site can accommodate. Have you considered the amount of people, your capacity versus the amount of available parking?
Yes.
Okay. Did you agree with the reasons the planning board cited? Were there any things that you might have been able to revise or modify within the plan, or is it kind of set as it is?
Set as it
Okay,
is.
very good.
As of right now, no, it's not. We did some things, but the parking thing, we're first-time business owners, so
Understood.
we really don't know the full steps of, starting a business or parking or what we need or not. So some stuff we have done that they did go against, but they didn't never come check it because we just decided to just stop and wait for this hearing. to see
Understood.
what we needed.
I thank you. Any questions from the board?
No.
And proposed hours of operation Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 10:30, Saturday, Sunday, 9 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. And it would be, it says there will be absolutely no DJ or live band permitted here. So you're thinking more just kind of meeting space, showers, graduation parties, etc. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any further questions from the board? So again, we will not make a determination tonight as we're waiting to hear back from the County Department of Transportation. Ms. Ivers will be in touch with you if we need any further information, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would any other members of the public wish to come address the board on this public hearing? Okay, hearing none, I'll take a motion to close public hearing.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the public hearing is now closed, and we have closed it. We might reopen it if we receive new information from Department of Transportation. With that, Madam Clerk, we can move on to our third public hearing.
Public hearing number 3 on the matter of a proposed amendment to Town Code Chapter 164 to prohibit the use of recreational marijuana, use of cooking grills, and open fires on town property.
Motion to open public hearing, please.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, this public hearing is now open. Bob, I think you and I can tag team on the explanation. Why don't you just go over the amendments to town code relative to the campfires and use of property, or Deputy Commissioner McGee, whoever wants the hot mic.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The code amendments that are being proposed this evening for consideration and general input by the public would eliminate the use of open fires, open grills, charcoal grills, gas grills, etc. on town property into designated zones. This is a result of several situations which have occurred over the past several months at 2 different locations at our town parks, and as such, we are seeking to ensure that patrons are utilizing designated areas for any such activity.
Thanks, Bob. And the second half of this, it amends the same, we lumped them in together because they really are amending the same section of code in regards to use of town property. With the recent legalization of recreational marijuana, we wanted to conform the use of marijuana along with other uses of other tobacco and nicotine products which are currently prohibited on town property, just merging that, even though they're legal, we are looking to prohibit the use of recreational marijuana on town property. We also, Councilman Wayner did bring up a question about regards to CBD. We're still doing research on that. We're going to probably elect to move forward without that because I really could not find anything substantive regarding CBD. I always start with our national parks, work to state parks, county parks, and then look at various municipalities. Not a lot out there, so I think that's something we'll consider for further action. But this proposed amendment to code would prohibit recreational marijuana, not medicinal marijuana, but recreational marijuana on town property. Any questions about the proposed amendment to code? Okay, would any members of the public, we didn't have anyone signed up, but would any members of the public wish to address the town on this public hearing? Hearing none, I will take a motion to close public hearing.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, public hearing number 3 is now closed. We can now move on to item for board action 3A. Madam Clerk.
Adopting a local law to amend Town Code Chapter 164 to prohibit the use of recreational marijuana, use of cooking grills, and open fires on town property.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Last month, Councilmember Freeman introduced a proposed amendment to Chapter 164 of the Town Code to prohibit the use of recreational marijuana, cooking grills, and open fires on town property. A public hearing was held June 15th tonight at 7:37. It's scheduled a little bit later. The board did not hear any testimony for or against this proposed amendment to code from the public. As such, closed the public hearing. This resolution would adopt the proposed amendments to town code. Any questions or comments? And I'll just note, we have also amended, proposed it for next month consideration, some proposed zoning changes regarding the sale of tobacco, nicotine products, and vaping products, so we'll publicize those public hearings as well. But for the matter at hand, I will ask all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Okay, so Madam Clerk, I'm going to just ask us to call up the public hearing held open, if you don't mind referring to that.
Okay. On the matter of rezoning, tax ID numbers 047.56-1-56.1, 047.56-1-4, and 047.56-1-95 from R1 Residential and C Business District to Waterfront Development District.
All right, this public hearing was held open from last month. We don't need to make a motion to open it again. The board is not planning on taking any action tonight on this proposed matter. We did want to afford the community the opportunity to once again address if there's any new information that wants to be put forward. And with that, we did not have a sign-in sheet, but if residents wish to come forward, we can do so in an orderly way. If you do come up to the podium, we just ask you not knock someone over, but also just identify yourself, name, and address for the record. And this includes the applicant as well. Actually, I should ask if the applicant has any information they want to present first, because generally we allow applicant, public, and then applicant to respond. So, sir, if you just don't mind identifying yourself for the record.
I'm Steve Labazetta, and I own the property. And I've come tonight to be here and answer any questions you may have of me.
And you did respond to some of the matters raised at last month's public hearing, and I think as long as there's nothing new that you want to present to the board, we'll allow people to if they want to come up to present information or comments to the board, and we'll ask you to come up at the end if you want to respond to any of those, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any members of the public wish to address the board? Come on, miss, come on up.
Hi, I'm Diane White, and I am the president of the Somerville, White City, Windsor, and Beatree Beach Residents Association. I represent members that have an interest in all of the lakefront communities in West Arundecoit. We oppose the change to from R1 to the Waterfront District Development District, and the primary reason is that the frontage properties are all protected. They're all under either a restrictive deed, which restricts from any building to the north of the walkway known as lakefront, and then also, which is also the property lines between the front and the southern lots. And then also we have we have two different letters here, from the town of Arundecoit and concerning building on the northern lots as being part of the New York State Coastal Erosion Hazard Area and Flood Zone. I took a look at the newest map of that, and just because somebody decides that it is no longer part of this zone, maybe you can let those folks who were flooded last year and the year before because of high water, maybe you could explain to them why that would be different this year when you want to build there. I have three or four different deeds here, all lakefront, that show the restriction in there and actually shows a layout. This is the layout of the subdivision, which shows the two different lots and why this was created this way. It goes all the way back to Mr. Spezio, who owned a lot of these properties and wanted to build what is now known as Westage, and all of the lakefront owners at that time opposed the building of the apartment, and as part of the deal, he sold them the front properties and agreed to a restriction in them, and that restriction was that there would be no building. In addition to that, no building on the north end, and in addition to that, and while I know you don't seem to recognize private easements, there's a railroad deed that also affects these properties in Somerville, all the way from the end near Westage, all the way to Delta. And that also restricts any type of building of from the lakefront, which at that time was a walkway that was owned by the railroad, all the way to the lake, to the edge of the lake, and it's to be kept in a park-like setting. And these deeds have validity to them. They have value to them. It affects those lake owners in terms of their not only enjoyment of why they purchased the property, but also the value of the properties. And if you were to continue with this lakefront development along that edge, that is going to affect the value of their properties, and also it's in violation of the deeds. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have copies of that?
I do.
Thank you. You can give them to Clerk Janier if possible.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll make sure we get those to the board members as well. Anyone else wish to speak to the board? Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
My name's Rose Novak.
Hey, Rose.
Hi. And I'm president of the board at Westage of the Harbor. I'm disappointed that we don't have an answer today, but we still have that access issue. So I want to know if there's been any other provisions for access other than 3rd Street?
So frankly, and Ms. Iris can chime in, that would not be an issue for the board to consider. That would be a land use issue under the purview of the planning board for site plan.
So that would be after the decision?
If the board did elect to move forward with the proposed rezone, that would be an issue before the planning board, which would be a whole host of other issues, frankly, most of which we wouldn't consider when assessing an appropriate rezoning of the property. It would be more appropriate for the planning board, should the board elect to move forward.
And do we know when we're going to get an answer?
The public hearing will be closed. We don't generally like to make an answer the night of, because what we do is we like to be able to take another month to receive information. We'll probably ask for an opinion of council with regards to some of the matters that have been brought up with regards to deeds. And then the earliest the board would elect to move forward would be at next month's meeting. It would be posted on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, come on up.
My name is Jane Nadeau. I live at 5280 St. Paul. Also have a lakefront address of 169 Lakefront. I would just like to ask the owner of the property who wishes to develop it if it seems to me that he's going to get out of the flood zone by building up. I'd like to know if that's the case, and if they've considered the drainage, if they build their land up higher, where the water's going to go, and if they can, or if they're going to, if the property's to be constructed would be in a flood zone, and therefore, if you want a bank loan, you have to have flood insurance, which is quite expensive. Just as a, I don't want to see I'm not quite sure I want to see any development down there, but I certainly don't want to see a failed development down there.
I don't think the owner does either, but.
No, I
fair-
would like
fair
to
enough,
have a
fair
question of the consideration of break walls that impact the quality of the neighborhood by taking away beach, and also the issue of, are they gonna prevent flooding of their development by shuffling the water off onto other people?
Understood.
Okay, that's,
So that
I just had kind of concerns.
Yes, of course, and you're right to raise them, you have the right to raise them. What we'll do is, we address those to the board. After, your neighbors have had the opportunity to come up and speak, we'll ask the owner to come up and
thank you.
respond to those questions, if he can. A lot of those, again, not necessarily required. We are grateful when we have for rezones, site plan and something a little bit more comprehensive as to what's intended. Generally with regards to break walls, again, that's something that's under the purview of the planning board and a whole host of other regulatory agencies that would need to sign off on something like that. You're good, you're fine.
One more.
You were the first person here tonight, so I feel bad you didn't get to go first.
No, I
so.
get to listen to town concert.
Oh, nice, yeah, there you go.
I had one more question, is an understanding of, under the current zoning, would it be permissible to build within 100 feet of the lake under the current zoning or not? I just confused on that issue.
So we have a very capable director of development who I'm going to put on the spot. Ms. Ivers, do you have an answer for that? Or?
So on a case-by-case basis, or in this case, a parcel-by-parcel basis, the first agency that would determine buildability in distance from the water's edge would be the Department of Environmental Conservation, because there are large stretches along the lakefront that are actually located in a coastal erosion hazard area, and those areas are generally, that's prohibited for any substantial structures to be erected, certainly not a building. So often in the area, in close proximity to the lake, you're in that coastal erosion hazard area. So that's usually the agency we send folks to first when they're thinking about a potential development on any body of water that the town of Arundequoit borders, because it's regulated by the state. Then we would look at the floodplain regulations and see where the boundary of the floodplain is. It's a federal program that's administered locally by the town. It doesn't mean that no development can happen in those areas, but floodplain compliant design and development is required. So there are certain structural standards that need to be met in order for a structure to be erected in an area that's designated as a floodplain. This particular site, I believe, and I'm not looking at the map, I'm trying to call it up as we're sitting here. I don't know how far inland it extends. My understanding is that it doesn't go as far in as the proposed footprint of structures that have been proposed on site. I could be wrong about that. Again, this is not site plan review. That's typically
Understood.
the type of thing we look at site plan.
Actually, I'm rather aware of it because I had to get a letter of exemption to get my property out of a flood zone. So I'm pretty darn sure it goes further south than
Okay.
100 feet. But, and then that would raise the question of, the only thing preventing the rest of us from developing on our lots would be the deed restrictions in that case. If this was to go, it seems like it's opening up a big can of worms for a lot of stuff. That's another concern I have. I'd just like to express to the board. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the community wish to address the board? I ask now because generally we'll close the public hearing after the applicant's had it. Go, come on up, sir.
My name is Mike Fiorella. I live on North Terrace, and our deed allows access to the beach. And some of that was taken away when Westage started what they did. Originally, it was fine until Westage put the garages up, and then Westage took advantage of that and put a fence across it, so that blocks all the access through Westage, technically. And the lot next to it, we've been able to access to get to the beach. What Westage has done has blocked your ability. They show it in the diagram. They show all the rocks there that allow somehow of a break wall. Westage has built it up 4 feet from where it was. And you can't climb those rocks anymore. You can't walk the beach from Delta to the pier because of what Westage has done, and I'm sure whatever this is going to do is going to do exactly the same thing because the water floods the basements on Westage. That's why they did all that, and I'm not sure they did any of that with a permit. They just put a new break wall in.
They did. Let's not, please, comments to the board, please, and just, thank you, Dave.
Well, in any event, my concern is that we have access, supposed to have access to get to the beach. This is another segment. Now we'll be on somebody else's private property to get through again. I mean, this might have been somebody's property, I think 10 years ago, somebody tried to put a storage shed on that and they couldn't. And now somebody's going to build 4 condos? That doesn't sound right. Unless, again, now maybe that's a different meeting and maybe they're going to allow access to any of the people. I'm sure most of the deeds on North Terrace allow access to the beach and all the terraces because that was the deal.
So again, thank you, sir. And just for a matter of context, when we consider a rezone, it's looking at whether or not the proposed parcels, the zoning that's being requested is an appropriate use and conducive with a number of things, particularly our comprehensive plan. When you get into, even after rezone, any project still has to go through site plan approval where if there's issues with accessibility and other interactions with neighboring properties, those are where such things like that are contemplated. There's certainly something we pay attention to. We're not doing anything in a vacuum, but they're looked at on a much more narrow lens at the planning board level, and if necessary, the zoning board of approval, which I don't know if this will require. But so again, I always tell people it's not punting, but our view really is more comprehensive, and I don't want to say 30,000 foot, but broader. It's just, is the parcel itself appropriate with the proposed land use? And if there are issues with developing, with not being able to develop certain parts of the parcel, they won't be allowed, whether it's the state saying that or the planning board. But again, the purview of the board here is to look at the whole parcel and whether or not it's conducive to the comprehensive plan and the zoning is appropriate. So I hope that helped. Anyone else wish to address the board? Come on up, Dave. Please identify yourself. We know who you are, but
yeah, Dave Griffo, Westage at the Harbor. So I was here last month for the last meeting, and I heard it twice now that we don't do permits. We don't do permits with the DEC. I spent 8 years working with the DEC in the town of Arundequoit for all the permits for the beach, all the permits for the rock wall, all the permits for the other rock wall that we spent $500,000 on with Westage's money. So all the permits are in place. They're on file with the DEC and here at the town of Arundequoit. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that I'm following all the protocols with all the permits that I have to have, and apparently there's a lot of them. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. You can. Yep, that's fine. And then does anyone else wish to speak? We'll get back to the developer.
So with respect to whether this is an appropriate area or not, what you really got to consider is there is very few areas that are not developed in West Arundequoit. This is one of the only ones left. There was a perfectly great area for some condos overlooking the river. For most of us, we thought that was going to go through. I don't know why that one didn't go through. But when you're talking, extending apartments into an area that was traditionally residential, and where does it stop, right? So that's the beginning of where are you going to stop with that building? That presents a precedent. And it's not a small precedent. As she said, 8 condos. We're not talking 2 or 3 here. We're talking 8. It's going to have a substantial effect on the overall neighborhood and the culture of that area. And it's one of the few areas that are left. There's been permits that have been approved that are completely questionable as to whether or not they violated various different town codes. But we're here to talk about zoning. We're here to talk about taking a residential area and now extending commercialization. Even way back in the 50s, when Spezio wanted to build Westage in the first place, there was a huge amount of objection to it, which is why he had to give away land, basically bought them off in order to be able to build that apartment. That's how important it is to us. And now we face the possibility that this area is going to turn into Bay Road. Bay Road used to be beautiful. Used to be able to see all kinds of views of the bay and everything. It was a great place to go for dinner. Now it's these big, huge apartment blocks. Is that what we really want for our little neighborhood in Arundecoit? Maybe there are some people that say, hey, you know what, it's an eyesore to have a house there. Well, or maybe it's an eyesore to have that brush there. Well, does that, just because it's an eyesore doesn't give somebody the right to say, rezone it, and let's just start building condos along the lake. Because this is a small neighborhood with an extreme amount of history in Arundecoit, and that history does not include continuous building of more and more apartments and condos along the lake. If you want to build them, there's a perfectly good lot that faces the river. And I suggest that they consider building in that direction and, develop water taxis to take people across to the other side, and that would be a real advantage. But to try to extend these apartments into more and more of a residential area is inappropriate, and it really ruins the entire culture and character of that entire neighborhood. And so that's your reason why you shouldn't rezone. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Labuzetta. Sorry, Steve. And after, if the board, Mr. Labuzetta can provide additional information, the board can also ask questions of Mr. Labuzetta, and then we'll close public hearing. Go ahead, sir.
In fact, the neighborhood association, Diane, I'm sorry, is that your name?
Sir, just make sure you're addressing the board too.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
A lot of what she says is correct. However, I did provide an amendment to the agreement that she spoke of that specifically gives the consents of 40 landowners that were all part of the 3 neighborhood associations to Leo Spezio to specifically be able to build on this very lot, not the rest of the property to the east of it. I provided, I provided the town with all of that documentation earlier this week, after I met with my attorney and made sure that what I was presenting was accurate and correct. And so the agreement that was referred to earlier was made in 1963. The amended agreement made in the 1964, but I have one of the 40 right here, specifically identifies my property and there's 40 individual agreements that they all signed for their heirs and assigns for the future to provide buildability on this property. It was a property that Mr. Spezio bought in conjunction with the Westage properties. So I don't have a particular on anything more than that I do have specific agreements that
Thank you.
gave.
And we did receive, Ms. Ivers did, I don't know if she sent those. We will be sending those to the board members as well. And
Our property also, I got a DEC letter this week that addresses the revetment wall. We are not proposing at all to be anywhere near the Westage revetment wall. We happen to be somewhere around 50 feet further south of the existing revetment wall. We actually want a sand beach if we could end up having one. So we actually have that as part of our hopes and desires. And I have my engineer here with me. He could address any of the technicalities about building in these areas and the floodability and all that. We have considered it extensively before we even came before any of you with any of this. So I feel at this point, I've provided documentation and certainly available for any more questions or from anybody. Council, could meet with my council to fine tune. But these are on public record, and I have all of the names, and I don't know, how extensive the property neighborhood associations exist for the outlying neighborhoods, but there certainly are, some agreements that were put in place for this particular lot. So it does not necessarily present a situation where it's setting a precedent to be able to build east of it. So,
Any questions for the, yes, go ahead.
Quick question for you, sir. And I don't want to talk about what might be in a site plan, because I don't want to get down the rabbit hole that far. But is there any intent to have any footpath or some easement or some accessibility through that area to the beach for the individuals that are there?
yes, it's our desire to actually have a pedestrian-only access for those who have the right to be able to get to the water. We're not going to keep them from getting there. So, yes, I know fully well about the easement that supposedly was built over, but actually the agreement addresses that. It's an interesting read if you have nothing else to do. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah, easements are real
But
interesting.
the amendment is quite specific. And also, we're proposing a residential project here. We're not going to put up a Ferris wheel. It's going to be totally a quiet residential experience. Nothing else. There's nothing else proposed for us to.
Would your engineer like to add anything?
Just real quick.
And your name, sir? Just
Mark Kostic, Kostic Engineering. Mr. Labzetta spoke of DEC correspondence. Basically, what he received is a non-jurisdictional permit letter. So that basically says we're not going to be getting a permit because we're not impacting the water's edge.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any further questions from the
Yeah,
board?
I have one question. This is the second meeting in a row we heard the issue that the concern was building north, right? Now, as your project sits right now, it's like 4 units, right? And there's 4 in each unit, and there's 2?
Two apartments
In each unit, okay.
building, yeah.
So as it sits right now, where that line is, how many of these units are sitting on the north side?
3.
Is it 3 of them? So most of, yeah, well, okay. So most of them are?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that was a question I had. Thank you.
Anything else from the board?
No.
All right, with that, I will take a motion. Thank you, gentlemen. I'll take a motion to close public hearing.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is now closed. The board will continue to receive information. At the earliest we could make a determination is next month. We generally don't like to hang it out either one way or the other, so it's our goal to provide some clarity within the next month or two. So we will continue to take feedback or information if people wish to send it to us. And I want to thank people for their civil input. Obviously, that's not happening everywhere in the area, but we appreciate just your feedback to us and hope it was informative. It was informative for us and always helps inform our decisions. With that, I'm going to actually, this concludes our agenda. I'm going to actually, pursuant to Section 105 of of Public Meetings Law, move that we enter into executive session to discuss the appointment of a particular individual. Do I have a motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are now in executive session. right,
I got mine already.
executive session is now concluded. This concludes our body of work for tonight's regular town board meeting. Our next workshop meeting is Tuesday, July 13th, 4 PM in the Broderick Meeting Room at Town Hall. The next regular town board meeting is Tuesday, July 20th, 7 PM at Town Hall. As I mentioned at the onset of the meeting, we most likely will be calling a special board meeting the first week of July, mostly discussion items, some potential items for board action, which we will disclose in compliance with state law. I will now take a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Good evening.